All right, guys. Nick and I just finished up a Kendama World Cup practice session in an air-conditioned laundromat here in Japan. And I was thinking, what better time, with KWC coming around next weekend, to get some insight from Nick here, who has actually taken down this beast of a competition himself. Nick, how you doing?
Doing great.
How's the practice session?
9 days till KWC. Good. Still making adjustments to final and prelim. Had some good final runs today. Good handful at that, and then prelims felt solid.
Yeah.
Good day overall.
Yeah. How much work are you putting into KWC this year?
This year has been in comparison to the last years I've competed in it, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 2022 online, and 2023 in person. I'd say this is on the bottom end of the totem pole of practice time. You and I have been traveling around the past couple months, going to all these events, competitions, and just experiencing other places for the first time in our lives.
Yeah.
And so I think head's been somewhere else, but definitely in this month leading up to KWC this last month, I've been dialing more in, after EKC and Nordic and all the other places we've, been to. When we touched down in Japan, I feel like this has been my main focus. So, yeah, I will say I definitely practiced more this year than for 2022 online. I'm not going to say this is the least I've ever practiced, but anyway, yeah, I'm excited to, get into it now. Better late than ever, I guess. But, yeah, we're getting into it.
You're feeling good.
Every day. Yeah, every day practicing now, especially, like I said, since we came to Japan, I've been feeling it. Feeling good. I look back at last year and I'm like, dang, last year I was pretty set on things, but now here I am 9 days out, still making adjustments, but it's all part of it. It's all part of figuring out and getting better, see what works and what doesn't, and on the Kendamas that you have. Personally, I think things change up until the day before, if you make finals, all the way up until the night before, because now you actually have to send your final run in the night before, and you got to commit. It's like, oh, I have to do these tricks tomorrow. I literally have to, and you send it in. Yeah, so lots of adjustments to be made still.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I can't wait for next weekend. It's gonna be super great.
It's gonna be fun.
Practicing with you has been really fun.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So yeah, let's take it back. You won the Kendama World Championships in 2018 in person. We're not going to talk about 2022. Online champion, world champion. Yeah. Most people don't know that.
I will say for the record, even I was great. Johnny and I weren't planning on competing, and in the last, I don't even know, 2 weeks or maybe even less, I'm not sure, they were like, hey, $1,000, whoever gets first. They're like, okay. I'll just compete
2022
then.
online, yeah.
Yeah. So
I had it in person that year, but not a lot of people were going to Japan that year. So
I think there was 10 foreigners, 15 foreigners at the real event, which is
that is so low.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that year it was me, Johnny, and Xing Yang.
Yeah.
The top three.
Oh yeah.
It was it was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. But no, so today we're going to be talking about 2018. So that was about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Where were you in your life at that point? Leading up to KWC that summer of 2018. Where were you in your life? How long you'd been playing Kendama? What was occupying your time? And take us through a little background.
Yeah, I was, going through my last year of high school, senior year of high school, and to be honest, it was on easy mode. If I look back at it now, it actually wasn't that hard at all. Still was, doing well in school, or trying my best in school, but also I was able to be going to all these competitions. You and I literally went out of the state for events every 2 weeks for a month and a half. I remember that. It was, California, Michigan, Texas. It was Texas as well. We even had Tacoma Takeover out on that. It was like every 2 weeks we'd be seeing the same people. It was nuts. And then summer got out in June. I was doing anything but Kendama at this point. Ever since the tricks came out up until Japan, I was just playing Kendama more than I ever had. It looked something like, go to school in the morning, finish whatever I need to finish, play Kendama at unreasonable, very crazy times of the day for me when I'm looking back, the typical 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. live stream. The live streams were going crazy for the Romanians. Yeah, the time difference, I felt like that was the best time. I'd set up at 1 a.m. and just get to work. Have like 100 people in there, literally watching at the same time. And yeah, nothing but Kendama. That's literally all my life was. Nothing related to training, physically training, or I was eating whatever I want, having all these good experiences. I was just playing Kendama with people a lot. Jams every week. Sometimes jamming a couple times per week with others. But at Bellevue, Seattle, consistency of playing several hours a day. That's what it was. And yeah, Sweet's just blessed, not only my life but yours, with a bunch of opportunities to travel and go to all these competitions. It was just like we were getting ready and more ready for the KWC just by playing Kendama all the time with the best in the world.
Yeah. So, and real quick, how long were you playing Kendama at that point? So you were Kendama World Champion.
Yeah.
So what age were you when you started Kendama, and how many years have you been playing when you won the World Championships, and how old were you?
So 2012, first started playing Kendama in January 2012, was 11 at the time. And by 2018, in July, which was when the World Cup was, I was 18 years old, and I had been playing Kendama for 6.5 years.
Yeah. Awesome. There's a baby crying.
It's okay.
But yeah, so I mean, so you were clearly playing a lot of Kendama in the months leading up. How did you feel about Kendama back then? I mean, you were traveling so much for it thanks to Sweets. What kind of inspiration did you feel about Kendama? Was there a particular level of inspiration you reached, or was there any pressures you had, or?
Yeah. I mean, that year was a good year for me. I hit my stride when I got my pro model. I think leading up to that, I was feeling okay. I'm getting to a certain skill level that's reaching the top of the world, and then I got my pro model, and just you and I both went absolutely nuts. I mean, it's hard for me to just say stuff about me because we were just going crazy through these different times together. But yeah, that's when I hit my stride from November after NAKO 2017 till July the following year. Yeah, just was so excited about Kendama, was dedicating 2 to 3 hours per day, just filming, live streaming, maybe even more, just playing by myself. Literally all I could think about. And did I have the pressures? Of course, yeah. I mean, I wanted to, especially in 2018 of 20 tricks later, first 28 tricks later, I wanted to prove to everybody that, I was really good. I just had that, that I put that pressure on myself, and I was like, oh, every trick has to be a banger.
Just really good, or like the best?
I wanted to definitely be the best. I remember looking at Liad and Bryson, I was thinking, these guys are nuts, but I want to compete with them. I don't want to be left behind by them, and I want to be on top at the end of the day. So that was a rough 28 tricks later, but going through that, I didn't lose any drive towards Kendama. I think that pressure I just put on myself was just made me excel and maybe get better at the end of the day. I mean, not to say I enjoyed it all the time, but I didn't really care about enjoying it. I just kept going.
Yeah.
But that was just that 1 month. Other than that, though, through that year, we even went to Florida as well for the comp. Just a lot of traveling. It was hard not to be hyped on Kendama. We traveled, you and I both together, month after month after month, multiple times per month. Literally, just saying goodbye to school, going out to do these Kendama events, coming back home 5 days later, a week later. What more could you want as an 18-year-old traveling the country for free, doing what you love, So I was beyond stoked. We were at that time too, we were getting the best Kendamas sent to us, just the absolute best Kendamas in the world.
Yeah.
Pro Clear Tama, Cushion Tama, next gen homegrown Ken. Those were the days, I swear. Always walking into the venue with the best setup, I swear.
Yeah.
So yeah, really nothing. I could not think of anything that just was off other than that 20 tricks later month. If I had to say something, that was that. But other than that.
So you really had this was a very, very, just a heightened experience with Kendama in your life. I mean, this whole year, right? Like, you weren't even just talking about months leading up to, I mean, you were talking about the entire experience leading up to KWC just there. So
yeah,
this was clearly like a huge year for you. You were winning a lot.
Yeah, it was.
You were winning a lot. You were winning basically every single competition you entered, from the end of 2017 up to this point, and throughout the year of 2018. What, as a person who won and was dominating going into this KWC, like, there's always going to be that player that I think people will kind of expect to win, right?
Yep,
this year it's Takia. It's very, very much so him. It's not even like a debate.
Yeah.
For you, when the tricks came out in this competition, you're going to this competition What are you thinking when the tricks come out? They just released the. This was the second year that they did level 12s.
Yes.
Second year they did level 12s. A lot of points to be scored. What's going through your head when these tricks are coming out and you know you're going?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking. I mean, they're difficult. I'm not so above everybody else that I'm just like easy money, just easy for every trick. I'm looking at the tricks though, thinking, okay, I want first in prelims. Just feel like I'm capable, and I looked at the 10s. I ended up going for a 97 prelim, I remember. And yeah, that's just me pushing myself as hard as I could, doing every 10 I possibly could in the 3 months, whether I could already do it or practicing up to do it. I did all the ones I felt like I could, get a hold of in that time period. And the other ones, the other tricks, I was thinking, level 9/8, whatever, for prelims. So really pushed hard for that. I was thinking, of course, I've got everybody telling me around me that, I'm going to win, like I'm probably going to win, I have a good chance. Just because I'm winning all these competitions up, leading up to it. But I never really thought in my head, like I'm for sure going to win anything. Mm-hmm. It was just the only reason I could trust that, or I could have confidence that I could do good at an event or could do well or had the potential to do well, was because it all just fell back on my practice.
Yeah.
I never doubted my practice. I never doubted the time I was playing, because it clearly reflected. In the competitions leading up to that, I practiced really hard. I was playing a lot, not only practicing the tricks, but playing for fun a lot, like several hours. Like I said, filming live streams just in front of our wall at home, on top of the practicing. Yeah, so it just made me this elite player that was just ready for anything. And yeah, sure, I could get knocked out first round, and I wasn't winning every open plus freestyle. I was still getting out here or there sometimes, but I never wanted to. I never went into a competition thinking, like this isn't gonna be me. It was always, well, I know for a fact that I've practiced and prepared as much as I could, and I'm confident in the preparation. And it wasn't about, I practice more than him, I practice more than them, I'm better than you, I'm playing more than you. I just knew that for me, genuinely, I put in the time, and I know that I made the time for it, played as much as I could, and that's all I could do. And it just made me confident in the possibility of the results.
Yeah. So you mentioned, so it sounds like you prepared pretty hard.
Yeah.
Take us through some of your practice routines. First of all, how many hours of Kendama were you playing, after April 2018? How many hours a week were you playing? Start there.
2018 was April. Okay. Yeah. From April?
Yeah, from April up until KWC.
Well, I'd say, at least I was playing, and I tried to get an hour of KWC every day.
Okay. On
top of live streaming, I like to film, not only tricks for my Instagram that were hard and required more grind time, but story tricks. You made those up. Credit to you for that, bringing that trend out. Most people don't know that. And then, so it was just about hour KWC. I tried to get that on average. When it got closer, finals started happening, final practice started happening, I tried to increase that to an hour and a half. I never really went super crazy hard practicing KWC hours and hours and hours, I'd say, until we got really close, right? Like a week out or the day or two or the day of. We're just playing, that's all we're doing, right? It's so close. But for the most part, I'd average probably about 2 at least. If we had to spread it out across every single day, I'm guaranteeing hour and a half, 2 hours, and that's on the low side. We're talking hour and a half, 2 hours on the busiest days, 3 hours, 4 hours on the easier days, and then on the jam days on the weekends. On the weekends it was like 4 hours bare minimum because of the jam, and then everything else +1, +2. It could be 5, 6, 7. Who knows? It was getting up there. We just had events too. Playing a lot.
Yeah. So per week, 2 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours a day. Then you hit one day on weekends where you're playing like 7 hours.
Yeah, 4 to 6 to 7.
Okay, so you're probably hitting like 25 hours a week.
Yeah. Let's just
maybe more.
Yeah,
maybe more. Yeah. So nice, 25 to 30 hours a week. Okay. Yeah. So, and for KWC routines, you mentioned a lot of playing regularly and not practicing like strictly KWC style format. What was you said the ratio was like 1 hour KWC to 1.5?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's like I did it for as long as I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And back then, it's like I had so much free time to play Kendama that I could afford to do that. Not saying it's a bad thing, but you know, if I were to compare it to now, it's like even if I didn't enjoy it, I'd still practice, go through. If I really wanted to win something, you know, I'd have to sacrifice the time
For sure.
But back then, you know, this is like optimal, right? You want to be playing, enjoying it all the time, and then having that focused practice. The play and practice go hand in hand together, and it's just, I would say, when I got bored or when I got frustrated or when I was satisfied, I'd stop KWC, and then I'd take a break. Probably, and the break would just consist of more playing. Maybe I'd go back. Just a lot of even my breaks were just Kendama breaks. So never really stopped playing.
So in terms of the actual KWC practice, you know, prelims was 2 days, prelims and finals. What's the strategy like for that? Like how much time are you putting into making your runs, thinking about the tricks? You mentioned earlier, you know, when I started talking to you in this interview, we mentioned it about your KWC practice. Now you're making adjustments all the way to the end. It's 9 days out. Were you making a lot of adjustments back then? How are you picking your tricks?
I was definitely making adjustments. I remember, it was so. I've always practiced like this. I'd look at prelims, solidify a prelim score, and work my way up. I've done it the opposite, like bit off more than I could chew. Realize it's too hard and go down. I don't like that. I kind of like staying to base. Mm-hmm. So I'd focus on prelims for a little bit, and you know, since it's 3 months out, I'd probably be doing those on and off relatively, you know, just for a month, 2 to 3, 3 weeks for sure. I wouldn't really even hardly focus on finals until I felt confident in my prelims. And then once finals practice starts coming around, you know, it takes a little bit to decide on, because you have to make it yourself, right? So you have to pick up to 30 tricks in 3 minutes, and the possibilities are endless. And so it's a lot more thinking, it's a lot more strategy for speed and consistency. So that takes that for me to get to a run where I'm satisfied, like I'm probably going to do this. It takes a lot of trial and error. You know, it depends on the year. That year I definitely figured it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't take too long. And from there, you know, after you get set, memorize the trick list in your head. You know, you want it memorized all in your head, and you get a run that you're proud of. You think you can. In my case, one that I thought I could win with, a KWC final run that I thought I could win with if I full marked it, or back then they didn't have full marks, but you know what I mean. Like got to a certain, you know, it gave me the possibility of 1,400 plus points every time.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick with this, and if I get this, I'm probably gonna win.
Yeah.
Or just be proud of what I was going to do. So, after that, it's like prelim is the warm-up, finals is the real deal. So it'd be like 30 minutes prelim, 30 minutes prelim, hour final run, or until I got tired.
That's what it was. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah. And then for prelims, you know, it's 2 rounds, 5 tricks each. What was your strategy? How are you practicing for that?
Yes. So in the prelims, kind of a standard, you know, I like to set, making us super dialed and just confident in ourselves, right? So what I've always done is, obviously the real rule is to get 5 tricks twice, 5 tricks, 3 minutes, 5 tricks, 3 minutes. There's a first half, second half, you get 3 minutes each. And so you have backups, but we just won't talk about those for now. I would, instead of trying to get 5 tricks in 3 minutes, I would try to go for all 10. Mm-hmm. And so
in 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes, yes. All 10 tricks in 3 minutes. And if I could do that, I was confident. I was thinking, okay, that just gives me a lot of confidence that I can actually do this in half the time, you know? And I think double time. If I could get all 10 tricks in 3 minutes, I could definitely get 5 tricks in 3 minutes, all right? That was the goal for me. I was like, okay, no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm making this the day of, no matter what happens, because if I'm doing all 10 and 3, there's literally no excuse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so that was the standard I set.
Okay. And then your final run that year, when you actually did at the competition, you scored was 14 something?
1447.
1447.
Come on, Zack.
What?
Memorize that number.
What? So when you were practicing for final runs, I mean, obviously, it's a little different now with the emphasis on consistency now because you actually have to. There's a full marks bonus. You set your tricks beforehand.
Yeah.
Back then, I mean, you were obviously trying to get a run that you could do consistently as well, though. And so, what was your, just so people kind of know what I'm talking about here, what was your like highest run you ever hit that year in practice?
Jeez, what was it? I mean, it had to be 2000.
1900, 2000 point run?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not 2K, maybe 18, 19, like 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll explain the rules of KFC at the end of this video. But yeah, so KFC was a little different back then. You didn't have to submit a...
you did not have to go in order.
You didn't have to go in order your tricks. You could skip over tricks and you could, without penalty, and you could, there's no full marks bonus. So there's that. So Nick's best run, 1,800, 1,900 point run, and he ends with a 1,400 point run and just wins. How many points did you win by?
I think so. Canada. He got
1,100, right?
1,100 flat, I think.
Yeah.
That could be a lie. I think
it was it was in the 11s.
it was 11 something. Yeah. So I beat him by 300 plus points.
Yeah. So when you're doing your final run, what are you kind of looking at? What are you looking at to practice there? I mean, or is there like a goal in your head you're going for? Because I mean,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, I was hitting 14s consistently.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, if I do like I've always been doing, then I should be able to get this.
Yeah.
13, 14, 100 point run. Obviously in practice, like I want the average points to go higher and higher because and usually, based on my experience, I can never get the best run of all time on stage. Right? It just doesn't work like that for me.
It's possible though.
It's possible. I mean, with So.
And Rui.
Yeah. Yeah, they won on their best runs ever. Yeah. So, but that doesn't usually happen for me. So I would like always, I would want the average to be higher and higher. So I'd be like, okay, if I can get this, then I'll probably get at least this.
Right.
Number, right? A little lower.
Yeah.
But yeah, that day, I was really confident in 1,300, 1,400 point runs. Surely I'd get up to 15, 16, 17s. You know, not too far in between. So it'd be relatively okay.
Yeah.
But I was really confident on 1,300 point runs, 1,400 points. I remember like a bare minimum I'm getting. I remember I would memorize my whole run up until I got 987 points, I think.
Yeah.
Somewhere around like 987, 86 points.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, boom, that's where I get that every single time. And from there, it's like one more trick and I'm already at 1,100.
Yeah.
Now we're off to the races, right? We just got to get a couple more and then, we're at 14 and beyond. So I was hitting that the day of as well. And I just thought, if I can just do that again on stage, like literally was hitting it so much, then I was like, okay, I can win. Or I can get that on stage.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, that obviously takes a lot of practice. I had to build that baseline average score up slowly but surely. That takes a lot of practice because that just means it's not you only get like a fluke run where you get it really, really good one time, two times, three times. Like the average score is consistently going up and it's staying there. It's like your worst ever run probably is around, 1,000 points, which is would literally get like third place that year, like automatic, and that was your worst ever run. So goes to show how many hours you put in, because I think everybody who actually practices for this competition can understand that. Everybody who actually practices and is actually trying to do well in the finals can really understand that. Day of competition, you said you knew, okay, if I get this, I'm going to win. Talk to me about the mentality, the mindset going in, because like you said, you put a lot of pressure on yourself in February. You wanted people to know that you were the best. You're really, really good at kendama. You're winning these competitions, and you were the player to definitely take it that year. You're definitely the player that people were looking at. So,
definitely.
So what's that mindset going into the competition? How do you manage that? How do you make sure you come clear and correct for the actual moment to execute?
Well, like I said, I didn't really do anything special back then. In terms of taking care of my body or eating the right way or training for, to not have anything mess me up, any pains or aches. I was 18 back then, so maybe I was a lot more lucky and young, so I wasn't hurting. I could get away with a lot more things eating-wise, so I wasn't doing anything crazy there. I would say that, I also didn't have that pressure like that I talked about in the February. I don't think that was lingering with me at that point. It was just more so a transition to me just brimming with confidence. I would say that, I actually used to, this is one thing I did before. I used to start to go to bed at night, envisioning my final run before I went to sleep, just happening on stage and me just getting every trick. I used to be like, okay, be realistic, like miss right here and then go, and then you'll get a second try. Then I just started like, screw it, like why can't I just get everything first try? So I just started, and then, what's crazy is I like didn't miss my first, I don't even know, 8 tricks or something. I have to go look back, but I didn't really miss for that long. And yeah, so it was good, and I was some visualizing at night before the comp. But I think going in there and just keeping my cool, once again, it just falls back on your preparation for me. That's what I have to owe most of my success to, is just the fact that I made a deal with myself a long time ago. I gave myself a reality check a long time ago, and it was, if you don't practice, you do not deserve to win. You just don't, no matter what happens. You don't deserve to win. If you do, which barely ever happened, by the way, I always had to practice for my wins. If you do, and whatever, it's a fluke, but you take those. But if you don't win, no surprise there. And if you do practice, well, just know that you did everything you could, and you do deserve to have a shot at this. If it goes your way, it makes more sense. It makes sense. There's that confidence there. Practicing doesn't guarantee you winning, but for me, it's guaranteed my confidence in my ability. Yeah. And so that's the one thing that's stuck with me all these years, is, hey, if I practice and I go into the comp, I know I left nothing on the table, and it just makes me feel a lot better about myself, no matter what happens, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's unfortunate, but the matter, like, to prove to yourself that you can prepare and be the person you say you can be, time and time again up until that day. It's more about learning through that process, the journey of showing up every single day, and through that you have the potential to become an elite competitor. At least that's what happened for me. Because the more time I dedicated to these competitions, the success rate of me getting to the top 3 to winning, it just got higher and higher and higher and higher. So yeah, and I always just fell back in my preparation. Yeah, that's why I was so sound and collected in your mind. Yeah. So you're saying there's a connection, a correlation between preparation and actually the mindset going into a comp, comfortability wise. Yeah. Well, yeah, because we all have those tricks at KDBC where it's like automatic. For sure. You don't even think about them. You actually just don't even think. You're just like, first try all day. If I don't get a first try, it's actually weird. Yeah. And I'll just recover. I'll recover and get it second try. Something like that. Yeah. There's those challenging tricks. It's pretty much, for me, it was Xing out those challenging tricks one by one and just making them go on autopilot. I wanted as many autopilot tricks. And for that year, I had quite a few of those, and some I had to work for, but most of the time it was just, there's just no thinking, I'm going to get this no matter what. There was no doubt. The doubt just kept subsiding. Yeah, that's really cool. I think some people will kind of look for that switch, like that mental hack, and kind of, so what you're saying here, and what I've experienced too, is how sound you are in your mind is how sound you are in your ability, I think. And the only way to improve ability is to practice, to actually put in the work. And I really like what you said there. Did you find that there were times in practice where you had to get over like obstacles? Obviously. Yeah, absolutely. And just like mental blocks, stuff like this. Yeah, I'm getting pissed. Yeah. I'm getting super mad. Yeah. I don't really rage that much. I actually don't rage that much over the past several years. I just don't. Yeah. Maybe once a year at max. Once or twice a year at max, but recently not at all. Except, even when I was younger, it never got to me. But for KDBC, you always had this one just outburst. I'd say for yourself, for myself. Other people, maybe a lot more. But I know for myself, I just had a couple outbursts that year of being like, not scream. Maybe some screaming, but like slamming my Kendama on the ground. Obviously, I got mad. I didn't know how to control myself as well as I can now. And so definitely felt had some obstacles, sometimes not getting my prelim, which was like making me really confused, because I thought, what the heck, like I'm so good at this already, why am I having a bad run? Out of 100 runs, why can't I get them 100 times? I have that expectation. Or why am I having a bad final run day? You know, this 986 is my bare minimum, but sometimes I'm literally ending at that, which sucks in my head. Or I'm getting lower and it's a bad run and I'm like trying to restart it before I even complete it because I'm just so over it midway. Just a lot of frustration there. But I mean, nothing's ever easy. You know, the harder goals you have and bigger things you chase, it's not always going to be easy. In fact, if it's easy, then it's not that big of a goal. I caught myself giving myself a lot of hard times going through like being mad, playing, you know, going through those hoops, I guess, of being mad and coming back and be like, okay, got a good session in today. But yeah, I just want to, just like everybody, right? You know, it's not like some certain people have an easy route. They don't have like, they don't stress, they don't have any discomfort, they don't have any like, oh, what if I don't make it? They don't have those thoughts, they just go for it and win. Those people don't exist. People, you know, I wasn't like that. I just struggled probably a lot harder than most in the practice stages because I was just practicing harder than most people. So I get over a lot of those walls more than people are used to dealing with, and that got me on the other side, which was that overwhelming confidence.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And for, you know, you did say that you were kind of eating whatever you wanted, didn't really focus on your health pretty much. Am I correct?
Yeah.
You're going to bed super, super late, and going to bed at like 2 a.m. every day, right after.
Waking up at 10, 10, 11.
What do you, so you still ended up winning, but what would you go back and change anything? Like right now, what would you tell your older, you know, your younger self right now of anything that you know now, how you take care of yourself now? Do you think what would you tell them, and then do you think that would actually help them? Anything that you know now?
Yeah, I would more than anything just tell myself to eat better, be more conscious of what you're putting in your body. That's the most important thing you can do. Is taking care of your vessel, taking care of your body like that. Training wise, I don't know if I would. I mean, I was dedicating a lot of time to Kendama. That's how I was able to win that many competitions. That's how I was able to start forming my legacy. This you know, then all those wins in a row, just that being that signified competitor. That's how I got there. So not going to tell myself to, you know, go crazy with you know, sitting back on Kendama and dedicate to different things. But if I had to pick one thing, it'd be the eating. You know, I was feeling on the the prelims day of, I actually didn't get my full marks. I missed one trick and got from 97 to 96, and I barely got that last trick. It could have been a lot worse. I could have finished middle of the pack. I still would have made finals, but I was going to finish around like with 86 points or 87 points or something like that. I barely got my last trick. And so quite a few people missed that year, prelims. But anyway.
I did.
Yeah. We still qualified, but yeah. I definitely think that if I was taking better care of my body, I'd have better energy levels, wouldn't be as tired. My sleep would be better, my recovery would be better. Just simple things. I mean, the bar was so low for me back then. It was really low. So it's not even like, oh, like you have to only eat these foods. No, it's just don't eat the processed crap, don't eat the processed junk, and then just go from there. Eat the whole foods. Obviously recommendation, just anything. But if I could tell myself to just stop doing one thing, it's stop eating as much ice cream as I did back then, and just stop eating as many of these sauces, this processed additives and everything like that, because it's not only for my health and my well-being, but also I was spending a lot of money on that too. It's a lot of money just on useless things that weren't actually helping me. They were making me feel worse and worse and worse. I just didn't know it yet. So that's the one thing. Training could be something for another time after that.
So you'd say you feel is like, how good do you feel now in comparison to how you did?
Well, it's night and day. I feel more confident as a man just with the effort I've put, you know, the discipline I found out that I had and the dedication I found out that I could muster up to something that I love through Kendama. All of that confidence that, you know, I found through Kendama translated to training and eating well. And, you know, I think that because of Kendama, I've been able to become this person that I am right now. No doubt about it. Just the confidence and the ability to be who I say I am. I feel a lot more, you know, emotionally a lot better. Not only do I look better, I'm more confident in my appearance, but just within myself, my confidence in my own ability to achieve things, and also I'm not as easily emotionally, I'm
Irritated?
irritated, irritated like that, or flustered, or emotionally. I was gonna say damaged, but maybe just thrown off track a little bit.
Sure.
You let the emotions get a hold of you. I'm more in control of my emotion. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's a lot. Yeah, mental, physical. Feel 100% more confident as a human being today because of the practices and the dedication I've put into training, eating well, which is all thanks to Kendama.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I wonder what. Yeah, that's really cool to hear, because I think anybody can improve further on that journey, and I think it's nice to hear you talk about that. And yeah, that's awesome. What would you say? So you're obviously world champion in that year. You won everything after that competition as well. You didn't lose, I don't think, anything after that for that entire year.
I did.
Oh, okay, but like barely.
Yeah,
barely. You still went to most competitions and took home at least one first place. So
well,
what kind of, like, would you say you were sacrificing anything? Like, had a large amount of sacrifice in experience your life?
At that point, so like I said, I wasn't focusing on training or eating well or these things like that. So I wasn't sacrificing too much.
Sounds like you're sacrificing a little bit with those.
But, okay, but I wasn't aware of it. So the thing,
and
okay.
What were you aware of that you were?
What was I aware of?
Were you aware that you were sacrificing anything, or can you look back now and realize, okay, I was sacrificing in this realm, this realm, this realm?
I can look back now and say I was sacrificing in this realm, this and this realm.
Yeah.
Because one, I wasn't hanging out with people that didn't play Kendama that much. Sure, I had my school friends from high school. That was one of the last years. Yeah, we hang out with those people, good people at that time. And most of our time and my time was dedicated to just playing Kendama, doing things that were related to Kendama. So even, at home, while you were playing Fortnite, right? I was playing Kendama in the other room.
Yeah.
Grinding.
Anytime I had an 8-hour shift, you probably were just grinding.
So I was also didn't have a job. I just was on summer break. The normal summer break every kid looks forward to every year. I was on that, and it was Kendama all day, every day. Yeah, that was my life. I was sacrificing time with other people, but if I was with people, I was playing Kendama. So I just wasn't hanging out with my school friends as much, and I also sacrificed video game time. Didn't do that. Didn't play with my school friends. I wasn't, I was sacrificing sleep. I was just playing a lot of Kendama. I was sacrificing being on a schedule, like a consistent schedule of waking up at this time and actually getting a good night's sleep, these things. So back then, I think I was sacrificing those, but also now if I look back with the lens I have with health and fitness, I wasn't feeling myself properly. I wasn't really concerned about that. I also wasn't taking care of my body and training that well. So those two things, of course, but and that it wasn't balanced. It was just all for Kendama.
Yeah. So, I mean, back then, you probably didn't feel like you were. Do you feel like you were sacrificing anything, or not really?
No. But if anything, after World Cup, when I went into university for the first time, freshman, University of Washington that year, we went in there from September, and we went through a couple of days where, NAKO was coming up, but we thought. I know we both had experience, so I keep saying we, but for me, I didn't actually touch Kendama for practically 3 days in a row, and that was just unheard of for me. I was always playing Kendama every single day, but I noticed in university when I was trying out different things and just dedicating my time to other stuff for a couple days here and there, I thought, whoa, I'm not playing Kendama as much. I'm not preparing as much. I'm not preparing for NAKO as much as I should be, or and that's where I could feel the sacrifice. Oh my gosh, I'm sacrificing Kendama right now to experience these other things as a college student, which is fine. But for me at that time, I was thinking, okay, whoa, no, because Kendama's what's more important to me, these college experience that I'm having or Kendama. For me, it was Kendama.
Yeah.
After getting into delving into them a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I remember after NAKO, and I realized, whoa, everybody there was insane. The Japanese players were crazy. I was thinking, Zack and I are dedicating an hour of Kendama every single day, no matter what.
Yeah, I had the same feeling too.
I remember we lived across from campus from each other, and we'd meet in the middle every single day. like probably 5 to 7 days, 5 to 6, 7 days out of the week.
Yeah.
Just always meeting up, no matter what, just meeting up to play. Even if it was just an hour, we'd be on it. And that kept us consistent. That was enough to maintain and get better.
Yeah.
So that was enough to get better.
1 hour a day
It was enough to get better.
Good. Yeah.
So that's where I really felt, I'm sacrificing really hard. But when it was other things, no. Kendama was the only thing that was important to me.
Yeah.
The only thing.
So it kind of sounds like less about sacrifice, more about it's a mixture of this, but like high prioritization.
Yeah.
High
seriously.
prioritization on Kendama, because back then, it sounds like going into World Championships, you went to school, didn't really have a schedule, and then after school you do your homework, whatever, and you just play Kendama,
Yeah.
And then now in college you have these access to these new opportunities. You want to get like new stimulus for life, and then do all these different things, and school's different and all this stuff. But above all else, you prioritize Kendama and made sure that no matter how busy your schedule was, you made time for it and you fit it in.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember after NACO that year, before NACO, I actually remember watching. It's a funny story. I remember watching Dwesty's pro model pro announcement, and I actually showed up to NACO that year morning day of, like 3 a.m. So that was like a horrible experience, honestly. But I had to take a midterm or something, and I remember watching Dwesty's edit when it got premiered there Thursday night when I was still in Washington, and I was like, I actually got mad. I got really mad because at that point I was like, okay, I think me and him are like pretty close. And then his edit was like, I was like, dude, I can't do any of these tricks. I literally can't do any of these tricks. I can maybe do one. And there's probably like 15 tricks in that edit. So that's when I really realized, like, hey, like I'm not really playing Kendama that much either. I haven't really been preparing for this event. And yeah, it really showed. I had the same feeling after that event, like, wow, you need to get my work ethic in gear for this if I really want to continue to achieve, because the game's not slowing down for anybody, and it never does. The level's always rising, so you got to really adapt, or no matter what situation you're in, or unfortunately you just get left behind if you're at that top level.
Yeah.
It's no really room to slow down if you want to keep being at the top.
Yeah, for me, it was just what matters and what's going to push the ball forward in my Kendama journey. And then I'd be like, okay, it's these things, and I would just forget about everything else.
Yeah.
Like literally,
Yeah.
no distractions.
Yeah.
No distractions of any other kind of entertainment, whether it be TV. I was watching way less anime, way less any of these other things that I used to. I mean, back then, I wasn't even really into anime, but I remember watching just Dragon Ball Super. That's like one thing I watched that summer. But other than that, I wasn't on the TV or my Xbox or my computer or anything. No time for that. It was just get outside, play Kendama, get inside, play Kendama. Is it hot today to practice outside? Okay, I'll just film inside. I was thinking, okay, I have to film, I have to practice, I have to live stream. These are all Kendama things. So,
and that's it.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
it was just taking like thinking what, and I wasn't thinking about this back then. But if I look back, I'm like, okay, what actually matters for the betterment of my Kendama journey and the betterment of my progression with my current goals, which is to win everything. Just do these things. Forget about everything else. They don't exist.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's what it was. It's pretty simple. Just taking off things about the task list for the day, making it very simple for yourself. What actually matters, what doesn't. Just do those things.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. I remember seeing you do that, and you really deserve to win that year. Nobody was putting in as much effort as you, and world champion, right? Like this type of intensity, world champion can't be achieved for nothing. I mean, if you took your foot off the gas, who knows what happened? Maybe you wouldn't have won, and so would have won or something like this. But yeah, you got it. I think for anybody who's a world champion, anything, the foot's got to be on the gas. That type of intensity has to be super, super high for a super consistent amount of time, and very few amount of players are able to do that. So
I've always, and once again, it's like I've always thought my road to all these wins and everything has never been particularly easy, because I always think, there's people out there thinking, this person doesn't have to practice. Oh, they have it on easy mode, whatever. Maybe there's a couple people like out there that actually exist like that. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. I'm not going to name any names in the Kendama world. Like maybe they actually don't practice. They are able to perform well. I've never been that type of person. I've never ever been like that. So I always looked at every competition as a hill to climb.
Yeah.
Something that I needed to work towards to achieve. Mm-hmm. Because there have been too many times where I had lost because I knew I didn't put in the work or I didn't prepare as well as I could have. And you start making adjustments by exposing yourself to competitive environments to see what was enough, what could you have done better. and that's how you get better at preparing, right? You just keep exposing yourself to the competition. But yeah, it's always been a lot of work, and I've always never knew I was going to really take it until the very end. And yeah, all I can say is, even though it is tough to reset and be like, oh my gosh, all this work I have to put in again and again and again, coming out the other side, it always feels good to get that to see the fruits of your labor lead to something, and to get all those wins, just a bonus of all the dedication I put towards Kendama. But yeah, the winning, the results, never that part, to be honest, it never gets old. The feeling of winning never gets old, and so it's just nice that all happened as a byproduct of the work I put in.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. What would you? Is there any piece of advice you would give to someone, any player who has this goal in mind, who wants to become a Kendama World Champion one day? Is there any piece of advice that you could give that person?
Yeah. Well, if you're serious about it, then it's going to take a lot of sacrifice from your other commitments, and it's going, because I know not everyone in the U.S. or whoever wants to win is in the high school or middle school. Only person I can think of is Colton right now, who's in a similar situation as you and I were coming up from the U.S. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice on what you're doing with your free time, and however much time you can control, because you're going to be needing to play Kendama a lot more than you currently are right now, and you're going to be needing to practice for a specific competition like KWC. You have to have it in your head daily, and you have to put yourself in the right, surrounded by the right group of people in order to achieve said goal, because nothing happens by accident, nothing happens by yourself. It's always with a group or a team. I had the Sweets team, I had you, which by the Sweets team back then had the best players in the whole world.
Yep.
We had the best practice groups, and yeah, nothing mattered more than competing well. And so that's just that environment, the drive, the self-sacrifice that you're having to make for Kendama. You just gotta change into another gear, because even that was just my normal back then, but looking back, man, I was on another level of just Kendama. And so, and I really there was no shortcut. It was just optimal environment, sacrifice, put in the work. That's literally all it was. And just the opportunity to compete as much as you can. It'll lead to something good.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And would you kind of say the same advice for anybody who just wants to win a competition in general? Or?
Yeah, I feel like there's a switch. I feel like there's definitely a switch that goes down within a person, right? Because even when you put in all this work, you think you're putting in all this work, and then you lose first round. Maybe you did try super hard and you still get knocked out. You're like, what the heck? It's really frustrating. It's not like, putting in this work is going to get you that result immediately, right? It's just going to give you that confidence, that the ability to put effort towards something day in and day out, becoming that type of person, which to me has transformed my confidence and ability.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a switch, yeah. To win any competition, I'd say, yeah, you have to try really, really hard every single time to prove to get to the point where you actually do achieve, and then from that result and the fruits of your labor, the constant effort you're willing to give to put into, and the time really to dedicate to yourself and your goals, through all that, and months, maybe it might take months, it might take years, who knows, but there's a switch that flips within a person. I think flipped within me, of just because of the identity. Identified myself as a winner, as someone who could win.
After you won?
After I won a competition.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, I was like, okay, I'm capable.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm capable. I put in the work, and it paid off, and I kept showing up for myself even when I failed. And once I won the first competition, I realized this isn't that impossible feat that's always going to be a million miles away from me.
Yeah.
I thought winning a pro competition was crazy, and then I won Tacoma Takeover 2015. That was my first ever time going into the pro division and winning.
Yeah.
I thought winning a crazy major national competition was crazy. I saw Zack do it a couple months later at NACO 2015. And I thought, wow, it's actually possible. My normal brother, who's not this freak monster Kendama player, who because I know Zack very well, we're both the same. It's not like either of us had super crazy amount of talent at the beginning. We just played a lot. I just thought, whoa, like Zack actually did the the unthinkable. He won a national competition. That means it's possible for a normal person, quote unquote normal person like me, to do it. And the next year, I won that same competition, NACO 2016. And from there on out, it's like, you're capable.
Yeah.
You're so capable. Not to say that you win one competition and you're just going to win 20 more. No. After that first win in my pro division, I lost many competitions very, very early on. It was rough, but I still never forgot. I still never forgot that I was capable of performing well. And once you have that belief in yourself, it transcends your ability to perform. I truly believe that.
Yeah, epic. And yeah, my next question was, do you believe that anybody can win, like any player can win a competition? I think that goes hand in hand with that. Because based off that answer, I mean, you just said like any normal person. Because at the end of the day, like, you were just some normal, regular, Kendama player with no accolades under the belt, right? Like none, and you're just trying and competing at the level that was best suits your division, the pro division.
Even before that, intermediate, advanced. I once competed in intermediate. I once competed in advanced bracket.
Yep.
People don't know that, but yeah, it was the same.
Yeah.
Just put in a lot of practice, and I remember that winning advanced against you in the finals, 2013 Battle in Seattle, 2012 Battle in Seattle, my first ever competition, intermediate, got second. And I know it's just because I practiced super hard and I really, really cared. That's what it takes. All you have to do is care a lot and find out your why, find out your goals, and just make a plan to get one step closer to that every single day. Just takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Just got to be willing to put in the time. That's most of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Real quick, what Kendama did you play back then?
Next gen homegrown.
Okay.
By Sweets. Kendama's homegrown.
Yeah.
Maple. Next gen homegrown with a Pro Clear Asteroid Tama.
Yeah. Pro Clear Tama.
Got me the victory.
Yeah. And what Kendama are you playing now?
Well, the one I have here I'm holding is the Soul Lotus collab designed by Tom Patterson, the Ken, and then the Dow Origins Tama. I think I'm going to use this Tama for KDBC next weekend, so we'll see how it goes. It's breaking in nicely. I'm saving it for a fresh Ken I get a couple days before, so yeah. Still same, Maple Beach setup. Maple Ken, Beach Tama, you'll be good.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Nick. I think that was awesome. I think that was a lot of great insight. Really excited for Kendama World Cup next weekend. It's going to be an amazing competition. The level's never been higher. It literally has never been higher. The competition just got so much harder last year. The cutoff to enter the finals was so much higher than it's ever been last year, and it's only going to get higher this year probably. Yeah. Thank you for coming on to our YouTube channel.
Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate coming on to my own stuff.
Yeah. Real quick before we end here, and this is going to be the end of the interview, but I'd love to hear just a quick explanation of how KWC works, just for those who don't know.
Yeah, so in my most simple terms, and by the way, we'll link the actual rules in the description so you can look for the details, but 2-day event. Prelims are 2 rounds, so you pick 5 tricks for one round, 5 tricks the next round, 10 in total, and you get 3 minutes to complete each round. So first round of 5 tricks, 3 minutes, boom. First round, second round, 3 tricks, or second round, 5 tricks in 3 minutes, boom. 10 tricks. If you get all your points, that's called a full marks.
Are these tricks predetermined?
And they are predetermined by Gloken, Global Kendama Network. They put out a list of levels 1 through 10, levels 1 through 12 on YouTube a couple months before, and you get 2 to 3 months to practice all these tricks. You can do levels 1 through 10 tricks in prelims, and then in finals, when it's just as many tricks as you possibly want from the list, you can do up to level 12. You actually have a window of levels 3 to 12 in the finals. So, yeah, all points are squared in the finals. So if you do a level 5 in the final, it's 25, and all points in the prelims are base. So if you do a level 5 in the prelims, you get 5 points. And so they usually take the top around 25 players to advance to the finals from day 1 to day 2, plus a good handful of wild cards, plus a good handful of seeded players. So equivalent, it becomes 40, around like 40 players in the finals. So, yeah.
Awesome. And the tricks, there's 120 tricks. There's 10 tricks in each level. And you have to, in the finals nowadays, you have to go at least 10 tricks, and you have up to 30.
Yes.
Back in the day, there was you get a full marks bonus. You have to submit your final run, to plan it out beforehand, submit it the night before and commit. There's a bonus if you get all your marks. If you skip a trick, you will not get that bonus.
Yeah.
And you'll get penalized for it. And back in the day, there was no such rules, so you could do whatever you want, unlimited tricks, and you could skip over tricks, do whatever, and whatever happens at the end. You don't get any penalty. So
Yeah.
that's how the rules have changed a little bit.
Yeah. If you want to learn more about them, we have it in the description. Easy stuff. That's, in a nutshell, what KWC is. Probably the most complicated version of competing, but it's really fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, KWC next week.
Let's
Comment
go.
below what your main takeaway from this interview was, and comment below who you think is going to get the top 3 spots at Kendama World Cup next weekend.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Let's go.
Nice throw.
Good job.